Congratulations on the purchase of your new Wen 4282 bench grinder. In this video we're going to be looking at how to assemble it. Of course, the first thing you want to do is read, understand, and apply all the operational and safety instructions found in your manual. Anytime you're using a power tool like a bench grinder, you want to make sure that you have good eye protection as well as hearing protection. You also want to make sure you received all the parts that you need for the assembly. So this is what it looks like as a whole. Now let's look at the parts individually. Of course, there's the coolant tray and two knobs and washers. And then we got left and right brackets, and then the little stands and some batteries for the LED lights. And we come down here and we see the assembly for the spark guards and the LED lights that are built into them. And then the plastic guards that you'll need to flip down anytime you want to have some protection. The manual does call for two tools. However, I never did find a use for the wrench. So let's get started. I'd like to point out that while this is a 4.8 amp power tool, that it's always a good idea to either plug it directly into the socket at the wall or to find yourself a good heavy gauge power cord like perhaps a 12 gauge cord. So make sure you've got the right gauge cord and you plug this into the right power source. I keep all my tools in my garage, and I live in the Austin area, which has very high humidity. So I like to oil things as I assemble them. I like 3-in-1 oil, but you may prefer something else. You want to make sure that you get these two control knobs right here on the right side and then on the left side as well. And then the additional little screws up at the top for the spark guard. But also I found these really nice precision oilers, and I put the link to them in the description below so you can pick up a pair yourself, because I really don't like to spill a lot of oil all over the place, and they do such a great job. I'm going to show you what it looks like assembled first so you have an idea before I show you the step-by-step process. So this bracket here on the box is the left-hand bracket. And then this hole is where this knob is going to go when you assemble it on the left side. And then this slot is where this knob is going to go. And then this bottom slot fits over this post or stud here in the very back. Kind of hard to see, but when we get to the other side, it'll be easier for you to see. And what that does is it keeps that bracket from swiveling or moving out of place. But that's what it looks like assembled. Now let's go over to the other side and take you through the process step by step. The knob, the washer, and the lock washer that you see on the box come as kind of assembled onto that little stud right there. I've taken them off. So you see that stud with the threading? That goes right there. And then there's that smaller stud or post in the back. That's how you put this brace or bracket onto the left-hand side. Now I place that knob along with the washer and lock washer on that threaded post. But when you put it on, don't tighten it down all the way because you're going to need to adjust it once you get the little platform on there. That's going to be the next step. Now we have the second knob installed on that side along with the washer on the left-hand side. And you notice this little platform has a groove in it. That's to help you if you want to sharpen drill bits. That's what that's for. So that only goes on the left-hand side. Really, it's the only way that it's going to fit. So those are the steps for putting the brackets and that little platform on both sides of the grinder. I'd like to point out that by adjusting those two knobs right there, you can adjust that little work rest to just about any angle you want for your sharpening or grinding purposes. I've tilted the grinder back so we can take a better look at how the spark guard is attached to the grinder. And it's just two simple screws right there. You want to make sure they're racked all the way out so you've got enough gap between the spark guard and the grinding wheel. This little knob has to be faced toward the inside of the grinder, and that knob needs to be faced towards the outside of the grinder. Now let's take a look at it from the top. There's the battery compartment and the little push button for the LED light. And again, I want to point out that this knob right here goes on the left-hand side or facing the center of the grinder. And then that knob goes on the right or outside of the grinder. Well, I made a mistake putting the spark guard on the left-hand side. So let's take a look at the right-hand side and how it's oriented. So you see the knob is on the inside facing the motor. And the LED lights are right there. I put this one on backwards because I wasn't paying attention to the orientation of that knob. It should have been towards the inside or towards the motor on the grinder. I wanted to give you just a quick look at what the LED lights look like when they're turned on. And of course, because the spark guards are adjustable, you can adjust where the light falls on the wheel and on your workpiece. But it's a really nice addition to this grinder, and it's one of the reasons that I picked it up. And the last piece to attach is the coolant tray right there. Before you finally turn this on, you want to make sure everything's set up correctly. So we want to look at first the gaps to make sure they're set. So at the top of the spark guard, you want to make sure you've got at least 1/8 of an inch gap right there. See that gap? So when you're spinning that grinding wheel, there's no scraping. On the bottom, you need to make sure there's no scraping against that little platform. And it should be very snug. You can't move it if you go to wiggle it. Same thing on the other side. I can't move this because I've tightened down those knobs real tight. Check the gap at the top and again at the bottom. And when you're turning those wheels, you shouldn't hear any scraping sound whatsoever. Now that we have this set up, let's go ahead and check how loud it is. And notice this does have a soft start. So the meter puts it somewhere around the range of a vacuum cleaner, so it's not very loud. You may not need to have any hearing protection at all. Also, I'd like to point out that you do need to allow that motor to spin all the way up before you start to use it. Well, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, please press like and share with your friends. If you're not already a subscriber, I would love to have you as a subscriber. And as always, good luck with your projects.